This is The Process Shot. I'm Michael. I'm stuck in the danger zone, and I've seen Top Gun, the 1986 action drama from director Tony Scott. It follows two Navy pilots, codenamed Maverick and Goose, who are given the opportunity to train in the Army's most prestigious airfighter school, known as Top Gun. Almost immediately, they're both swept up in a whole new world from what they're used to. Most of all, Maverick, whose otherwise defiant and loose cannon nature is at odds with the established methods of the program. As he and a rival student codenamed Iceman vie for the Top Gun trophy, and as he and an instructor spark a romantic relationship, he comes to find that the costs of his reckless behavior can be heavier than he thought. It may sound dramatic when I put it that way, but the movie has a good amount more action than that would suggest, especially whenever jets are involved. The first 20 minutes or so are straight-up jet plane action and high-stakes tension, almost literally never touching the ground the whole time. Not quite pushing the actual story along, but doing a great job setting up Maverick and Goose as characters. After that, the film sticks pretty close to standard action film formula, both in its plotting and structure, and in its character archetypes, right down to the bold and brash lead straight up being named Maverick. On that subject, the actual action of the planes and dogfights aren't the primary focus of the film, but rather Maverick and his own development. Other characters may have simpler storylines and arcs of their own, but they all seem to do more for Maverick's story than be something truly independent. On a similar note, Maverick's romantic subplot is pretty weak and unimportant to the greater narrative, especially compared to the chemistry between him and his fellow pilots, most of all Goose and Iceman. It's not quite as subtextual as people have made it out to be, mind you. It feels more like the result of sticking to the usual action movie plot standards. But because it sticks to what it knows, what we get in this film makes for fun aerial action, great character antics, a safe and manageable narrative, and ultimately nothing that you would not want from a movie like this. Anyways, being an action movie, Top Gun meets the technical standards of the genre and then some. Obviously, the jet plane stunts and sequences are the highlight, not only in the actual skill on display, but in the scene's solid editing which blends close-ups of the cast with exterior shots of professional pilots in a nearly seamless manner. Cinematography is balanced between being practical and being stylistic, the latter being used more in action scenes to give planes a sense of movement across an otherwise static background. It does do enough to make everything else look pretty, with a color design that does the same but playing more into temperature, emphasizing the heat of California with warmer tones, while being much cooler while up in the air. The film's music is the last piece of the proverbial technical puzzle here, with a nice balance between a subtle score and much louder licensed or original songs. I'm not sure exactly which is which, but they fit in pretty well, ultimately adding to the overall tones of individual scenes. The film as a whole has a pretty consistent tone, with high amounts of energy, lots of adrenaline, sweeping amounts of emotion, and really a good amount of excess in general. It's no surprise that, despite being a pretty standard 80s action movie at the end of the day, it's still got so much inherent fun in it that it's easy to see why it's become a cultural mainstay. Top Gun, Tony Scott, 1986. 3.5 stars. I'd recommend seeing it if you haven't already. If you have, go ahead and watch it again. That's it for this review. If you liked it, leave a like. If you didn't, leave a comment. As always, Subscribe to the channel for more reviews. This feels like one of those movies that has memorable moments and ideas that get passed down through reference and homage, but then it turns out that it's only a minor part of the larger story. I wonder how that happens, honestly.